Imagine being richer than Elon Musk on paper, and nobody even knows your name. Then in less than 48 hours, $30 billion just disappears. Gone. Just like that. That's exactly what happened to Hwang, a guy who built a massive financial empire in the shadows, only to have it collapse overnight. He's not the only one. Today, we're going to look at a few of the most shocking ways billionaires have lost it all in a single day. $230 billion crash. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook in a college dorm, phoning late nights, connecting a few friends, nothing fancy. By 2022, nearly everyone on the planet knew his name. Every headline mentioned him. Every social platform moved around what he did next. The world's attention was on him, and the stakes were massive.
But 21-year-old Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, Mark Zuckerberg.
He has forged a transformation through the power of connection. Mark Elliott Zuckerberg.
Then the numbers came in. Meta's user growth had stalled for the first time. Basically, ads, the engine that poured billions into the company, were slowing. In the metaverse, the billion-dollar bet that was supposed to define the future suddenly looked like a gamble too big to ignore. The stock started dropping fast. In a single day, investors lost more than a quarter of the company's value. Headlines screamed. Phones were ringing. Panic spread. Meta's market value had plunged roughly $230 billion. But that loss hit hard. The empire that seemed unstoppable suddenly felt exposed.
It was one of the worst day crashes in stock market history.
Almost $200 billion has been wiped off the value of Facebook's parent company.
A $200 billion wipe out, that would be the biggest in stock market history.
Meta, formerly known as Facebook, has seen stagnant earnings growth, and its stock took a $230 billion tumble last Thursday.
So that chaos wasn't caused by a scandal, a hack, or a sudden disaster. It was just the perfect storm. Low growth, faltering revenue, and a bet that spooked the market. Investors ran. The empire that once felt untouchable trembled. Mark Zuckerberg remained. But the moment lingered. That crash was just a signal. The bigger you are, the more the world notices every misstep. And sometimes, even the strongest foundations can shake in a heartbeat. FTX. Before everything collapsed, Sam Bankman-Fried was the golden boy of crypto. A billionaire before 30. The genius who promised to make finance fair again. His company, FTX, was not just another exchange. It was a revolution. Investors lined up, celebrities endorsed it, politicians praised it, and for a moment, it looked unstoppable.
Sam Bankman-Fried. He's the CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX and one of America's youngest billionaires.
FTX Arena, Miami Heat, Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Steph Curry, Shaq, Naomi Osaka, Kevin O'Leary, Sequoia Capital, Comic-Con, Major League Baseball, TSMP Sports, Super Bowl commercials, political donations, everywhere you looked, FTX. And then, the illusion collapsed. Behind all the stadiums and celebrities was a hidden web of risk. Alameda Research, a hedge fund controlled by Sam, borrowed billions from FTX customer deposits. Money users thought was safe. In mid-2022, investigators said Alameda owed FTX customers roughly $8 billion. FTX's native token, FTT, was used as collateral. When its price fell, House of Cards started to tilt. Okay, let me break it down what actually happened, but technically. When customers deposited money on FTX, those funds are supposed to stay as liquid assets, so cash or stable coins, ready for withdrawal. But Alameda used a huge portion of this liquidity to make leveraged bets, meaning they borrowed against customer deposits to invest elsewhere. Basically, as long as crypto stayed high, the balance sheet will look fine, but assets cover liabilities on paper. But again, when prices fell, those assets lost value fast, and liabilities stayed the same. Then, when a liquidity crunch hits, you can't sell your assets fast enough to cover withdrawals. So everyone tries to pull out at once, but there's not enough liquidity. But then, the system collapses. So at that point, the whole structure was just hollow. So most of what they called assets were just tokens they printed themselves or things they couldn't sell. When people tried to get their money back, there was simply nothing real left to give.
There are people who are angry, and they are seeking answers. I received thousands of letters and emails, even in the past couple of days, from a lot of these people who feel like they're victims. And some of them have questioned whether we should have this conversation, whether we should have this interview. There are people who don't believe that this conversation should happen. And I just want to say that I think our job as journalists is to have those conversations. There's a generous view, and the generous view is that you are a young man who made a series of terrible, terrible, very, very bad decisions. The less generous view is that you have committed a massive fraud, that this is a Ponzi scheme, a manipulation of the system.
Sam Bankman-Fried was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and FTX had a total wipeout of $30 billion from the crypto markets overnight. So they sold the world the idea of safety, but there was never any safety. Just leverage, trust, and a system held by confidence. Which honestly makes me want to think if anything is safe these days. But while FTX fell in days, one man managed to erase more money in a weekend than most institutions managed to lose that in a decade. And he did it completely under the radar. The Ghost Fund. Okay, let's imagine an investor so big that he could move entire markets while staying completely invisible. That name was Bill Hwang, the man behind Archegos Capital, one of the biggest financial blowups of the decade, and most people still have no idea it even happened. But the key to this whole story is, Archegos wasn't a traditional hedge fund, it was a family office, meaning almost no public disclosures, no transparency, no reporting like normal funds, literally perfect for operating on a massive scale, in the shadows. So then came the trick. Instead of buying stocks the normal way, Archegos used total return swaps. These are derivative contracts that let you bet on a stock's performance without actually owning it on paper. The banks held the shares for him, but the economic exposure, the risk, was all his. And because the swaps weren't reported, each bank thought he was a small, contained quote-unquote client. They had no idea he was building the same huge positions with multiple banks at once. The real danger wasn't just the size though, it was the leverage. A normal investor might use 2x or 3x leverage, but Bill Hwang, he was using 5x, 8x, even 10x. Meaning, for every $1 billion he actually had, he was exposed to $10 billion in the market. And as long as the stocks he bet on kept going up, Viacom CBS, Discovery, Baidu, Instant Music, everything looked perfect. Until one tiny event triggered the collapse. Viacom CBS announced a single share offering. In the normal market, no big deal. But when you're massively levered and your positions are all tied up together through swaps, that was the first domino. The stock dropped, banks demanded more collateral, and Archegos couldn't post it fast enough. And then the liquidation cascade began. One bank dumped shares, then another, then another, then another. Within 48 hours, an empire of more than $30 billion in position evaporated. Some banks, like Credit Suisse, lost billions cleaning up the mess. And Archegos became the perfect example of a hidden risk in modern finance. When someone is too big, but also invisible. And when leverage is stretched to the limit, even a tiny price move can trigger an avalanche. And the Archegos story was a warning. When everything is going up, nobody asks where the money's coming from. When it starts falling, then everything comes to light.
Former Archegos boss Bill Hwang faces 18 years in jail. The one-time billionaire investor was sentenced Wednesday by a New York court. He had been convicted there in July on 10 charges, including wire fraud, securities fraud, and market manipulation.
Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. You made it this far. I'm very glad. I'm very thankful. If you want a part 2 of these documentaries or any more ideas, let me know in the comment section down below, okay? And also, I just set up my very first Patreon, okay? So if you want to support my work and you want to have early access to things, make sure you sign up to my Patreon. It's only $1 a month, okay? It's going to help me tremendously. So thank you so much for watching it. I know there's a lot of work to do, but I'm working, okay? I'm working as much as I can, deliver good content for y'all. And that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, thanks. Bye.